It's time to anchor down, Islanders. We have the latest in cruising and cruise news for you today. The first thing we will show you is a newly updated picture of the Carnival Jubilee. You can see the progress that's been made. You can see individual cabins. Many of you will be happy with the picture we're going to show you. We're also going to update you on MSC's newest cruise ship, the Euribia. She went on a test run, a test drive. Sea trials are complete. She is ready for paying passengers this summer. The meat of the show today is a topic that none of us like to talk about. We don't want to discuss, but it is a reality for us all. That is death. Death does take place on cruise ships, and usually cruise lines do a fantastic job doing what they need to do for that individual, for the family. But this story is not the case. It's dominating the cruise news cycle, and so we're going to share it with you today. As Celebrity Cruises is accused of improperly storing a body in a freezer, a cooler, instead of a morgue. We will share those details with you on the show today. We all need some time in the islands. Let's go there now on Island Time. A big happy Monday to all you Islanders. We hope you had a great weekend and your week is off to a great start. Thank you for stopping by the show today. This is Island Time and I am Derek. It's time we drop our anchors. We take some time to relax in the islands together. We are thankful that you're here today. We are thankful to those of you who were here last night on our live show. We had so much fun interacting with all of you, answering questions, playing some trivia a little bit, giving some items away. We are thankful for you. We had a blast. Mike and Michelle, thank you so much for coming and visiting us this weekend. You're back home now. We had an absolute blast seeing Kenny Chesney in concert this past weekend. What a treat we had. Let's get into the latest in cruising and cruise news. Before we do so, let me invite you, if you're watching this and you are not subscribed yet to this channel, more importantly to this community, please do so. Subscribe, ring that bell to receive notifications when we upload content. Let's show you this picture here first of the Carnival Jubilee. So many of you are anticipating this new Carnival ship that is set to sail for the first time December the 23rd of this year from Galveston, Texas. We have a group cruise, the largest group on the ship will be this Island Time group, almost 20 cabins, 60 people. We're excited about it, and look at the ship. She is beautiful. Progress is being made, right? The outside looks beautiful. You're starting to see these individual cabins. Some of you, even if you're booked in this section of the ship, the forward part, port side, you may actually see your cabin. We're excited about this. She still has a lot of work to do. She's not ready for sea trials yet. She has work to do in the shipyard. They are doing that work. She looks to be on time. We're excited about that. But while we're talking about sea trials and test runs, we might as well mention this. MSC's newest ship, the Euribia. Look at her. She is beautiful too. She just took a test run. She left April the 18th on a 4-day sea trial. She tested out all the mechanics, the machinery, all the eco-friendly systems, of course, using LNG, maneuvering abilities, all that stuff. She tested it out. She got her workout in, and now she's set to sail, be handed over to MSC in May. She's going to start sailing this June in Europe. We're excited for MSC and their newest ship as they continue to build. I know a lot of you guys are booked on these two ships and many others. We always try to share new ship news and updates as often as we can. Let's talk about this story that's dominating cruise news. It's not a topic that I want to talk about, any of us want to listen to, but this story is dominating headlines because of what it is. Before we get into the story, let me give some preface here, okay? Number one, it's a trigger warning. This story has some deep details about death, family members being impacted, the passenger, the person that passed away, impacted, of course, in multiple different ways, even after death. I want to give a trigger warning here because I know there's all types of people who watch this content. You've lived and you've gone through different things. I want to mention that up front. Death is a part of life, is it not? All of us at one point will be there, right? All of us have to get through friends and family members dying. It happens. Some of you say, when it's my turn at the checkout line, I hope I'm on a cruise ship. And some of you really mean that. You hope that to be the case. It happens weekly. Passengers pass away on cruise ships weekly. But cruise lines are prepared, and they deal with this all the time, and most of the time they are so gracious and we hear stories of how the family was taken care of. The member of the family who passed away was taken care of. And I'm going to share a story with you that shows just that at the end of the show, because this story does not show that. I will share a very recent feedback of someone who said, I had a family member pass away, and I want to say thank you. Stay tuned for that. But this is the cruise news story dominating the headlines. There's accusations from a family that Celebrity Cruises improperly stored a dead body in the ship's cooler, not the morgue. We're going to share with you the facts of this story. We're also going to share with you and make it evident what the lawsuit claims. It's important that we separate facts from what lawsuits claim, right? Because this is going to trial. Trial by jury is what the family wants, but this is going to go in front of a court. This is going to go in front of a judge. And the facts will come out, of course, and we'll see what happens with it. But this is the accusation. Remember, accusation here. That's what we're talking about. First off, our hearts and prayers go out to the Jones family who was impacted by this story, this event. Robert Jones was the family member who passed away, and he had family members, of course, on board with him. This happened months ago, but we're praying still for that family. We hope the peace that passes all understanding is with you, and that you have peace through this experience that you're about to go through, no matter the outcome. We also want to thank Mr. Jones, Robert Jones, for his service to our country. It looks like that he was Army Reserve, a member of the Army Reserve years ago. We thank you, of course, Mr. Jones, for your service. It's men and women like you who get to do literally what I'm doing here. Speak to a camera. I have this freedom to speak. All of us have the freedom to watch, to travel, to cruise, and that's important to point out as well. This lawsuit was filed this week in Florida by the family this past week, late in the week, by family members in the state of Florida. Here's a fact. Robert L. Lewis passed away due to a cardiac event on the Celebrity Equinox in August of 2022. So middle of last year, Mr. Jones passed away. The ship was leaving from Fort Lauderdale. It was an Eastern Caribbean cruise, and he passed away early in the cruise. He passed away and still had 6 days left of the cruise. That would be so difficult in so many ways. The lawsuit claims that the family was given two options. Two options can take place when Mr. Jones passed. Number one, Celebrity said, we can let you guys disembark in San Juan, Puerto Rico. We can, of course, remove Mr. Jones, who is deceased, from the ship as well in Puerto Rico. But they also said, if we do this, here are some of the things that you're going to encounter. They were being proactive. They said that Puerto Rico might want to do, the government there in Puerto Rico might want to do an autopsy. We can't guarantee when the government there in Puerto Rico will release the remains of Mr. Jones to be able to go back to the United States. It doesn't sound like it was the best option, and the family did not take this option. They said, we don't want to do this. The second option was this, to have his body stored on the ship in the morgue until the ship returned back to Fort Lauderdale. Seems like a plausible option. The body's guaranteed to get back home. That gives the family some time to work through the week while they're supposed to be enjoying vacation, on plans, and contacting family members and loved ones to get everything set forth that needs to be set forth. And that is what the family chose to do, was that second option. The family chose option two. Now, 6 days left. Those days take place. Here's what the lawsuit claims. Everything above was fact. Here's what the lawsuit claims. This is what the family is saying took place, and they have evidence enough to think that they have a case against Celebrity Cruises. When the funeral services employee in Fort Lauderdale was brought onto the ship to retrieve Mr. Jones's body, his body was not located in the ship's morgue. Every ship has a morgue. They're prepared to store bodies there. Mr. Jones's body was not in the morgue. How is it not in the morgue? He had passed away 6 days ago, and his body was not in the morgue. Instead, Mr. Jones's body had, at some time that the family doesn't know, it's unknown, had been moved from the ship's morgue to a cooler on a different floor than the ship's morgue. That's what the lawsuit says. And if that indeed took place, wow. Disrespectful. Unbelievable. If his body was once in the morgue and it was moved to a cooler on a different floor, completely disrespectful. The lawsuit goes on to say the cooler in which Mr. Jones's body was found by the funeral employee had drinks placed outside the cooler. It was a cooler for drinks. Cooler for drinks. And was not at a temperature which was sufficient nor proper for storing a dead body to prevent decomposition. That's awful there. The body had sat there, wasn't cooled off enough, and started to decompose. Now, there are other details about this story that I did not include on purpose, okay? And some of those details around the cooler not being cold enough and how that affects the remains of a body, they're out there. I didn't want to include it here because that is not the story per se. What we're sharing is the story. It is the issue. It is the lawsuit. That's as far as we're going to go. The lawsuit claims the body was found in a bag on a pallet on the floor of the cooler. Again, if true, wow. In a bag, understandable. On a pallet, on the floor, in a cooler, no. Lawsuit claims the body was in advanced stages of decomposition. The family later had a closed casket funeral. They wanted to have an open casket funeral. If the body was kept in the morgue like it should have been, they claimed that probably could have taken place. And that, if you look at reality and how things are handled here in the States, they're probably right about that. But they had a closed casket funeral because of what took place. Marilyn Jones and her family are asking to be compensated for these damages in the amount of $1 million. They're demanding a trial by jury, and they will probably get that. That is the accusation, and it is a strong and difficult one to even comprehend. It's a difficult one to even share. This is not usually what we do on the show, but we share the latest in cruising and cruise news, and this, of course, if true, is wrong on so many levels. But this also is not the norm. I will point that out here in just a second. Again, this is an accusation. If true, do you think this family should be compensated for what took place? And that, of course, $1 million is what they're suing for. Additionally, do you think that those workers for celebrity, should there be any type of penalty, punishment for workers if indeed the things within this lawsuit took place? Let us know in the comments section below. It's tough to even share and describe, but it is the story today. I wanted to share this story, though. This is from a Carnival cruiser who also lost their husband on a recent cruise on the Carnival Valor. Kim, our hearts and prayers are out to you as well. We thank you, though, in times like this where it's difficult to share the story that I just shared, that you share your experience. These are totally unrelated. Kim doesn't say I'm sharing this because I saw this story. This is just random, but I wanted to share it because it's an opposite view of what usually happens in cases like this. Kim says, to all the Carnival Valor cruise ship doctors, nurses, and guest service ladies, I want to thank each person who showed such tremendous compassion and kindness when my husband suffered a heart attack upon the ship on August the 6th. The ship's doctors, as well as a couple of passengers who were nearby in the dining room, rushed to his side to administer CPR and tried to revive Rob for over 30 minutes, but his heart just gave out. Afterwards, guest service manager Irina was by my side constantly and made sure I was comfortable as could be, bringing food to my cabin, opening up an international phone line so I could contact family, checking on me frequently. Most of all, they let me visit my husband in the ship's morgue as much as I wanted to. And when it was time for the coroner to take him off the ship, I was by his side. The ship's crew stood in line on each side of him as he was taken away. Wow. Unbelievable. It was emotional, but they also made me feel comfort that he was in good hands. When it was my turn to disembark, they made sure someone was with me from the time I left my room, taking me down the private elevator, taking me through customs, personally handling my luggage, and even waiting with me until my ride to the airport arrived. I wish I could thank each one of you in person and let you know how nice it was to be treated like family. I am deeply grateful for your support. Kim, thank you so much again for sharing that experience and letting us know that usually when these things take place, you are in good hands. We are praying, of course, for the Jones family. Kim, we're praying for your family as well. So many of us have cruised time after time after time, and we have seen emergencies on board cruise ships from passengers having medical events such as this, passengers going overboard, passengers falling and hurting themselves. We've seen a lot, Islanders, we have, and we get through it together. If you want to share some of your experiences below and how you were able to help, of course, do that. This was a tough show today, but we will keep you updated on these news stories, especially this celebrity story as it progresses. We'll continue to share the facts, what we know, what we don't know. We'll be fair to both sides. That's the only way to be. Islanders, we hope you enjoyed the show today. If so, give us a thumbs up. We invite you, of course, to subscribe to this channel as well. We will see you in the comment section below, on our Facebook page, and tomorrow on Island Time.